Hi, my name is Lisa Iversen, and I very much look forward to being with all of you next week. I live in the Pacific Northwest, north of Seattle, south of Vancouver, British Columbia. I'm making this video, it's the same video that will be on my workshop session description page, as well as in the expo area. This same video will be in both places. I realized that looking at the description that I wrote for my session, that a few things developed after I had put that on the website for the conference that might be relevant for people to know about. And there's some timely things happening that feel like also relevant for our gathering next week. So last year, I spent most of 2020 stewarding a writing project. I invited a group of women together to write about whiteness. I'll talk in more detail about this in my session, but the short story here is that I invited a group, a dozen white women, to write about the role of whiteness in their lives and in their generational histories. I did this for a variety of reasons, including the fact that it was an election year last year in the States. You may have heard about it. And I felt strongly about doing all that I could do as a citizen to contribute to consciousness around whiteness in our country. We have a ways to go. You may have heard about that. The dynamic, it seems, I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but there seems to be patterning that in our human family that tends to consciously, unconsciously attribute, in terms of trauma experiences, the men are perpetrators and the women are victims. And this is, of course, far from the case. Things are not so neat and tidy. And in terms of in the US, I'll speak specifically about my home country. We have a complex history. Our colonial history, colonialism, slavery, immigration, these collective movements, whiteness is evident in all three of these movements. And the women that I gathered, specifically, I knew because of who they are and the depth of experience that they have also had in the constellation field. Some of them are facilitators, that they had a capacity to engage with the perpetrator role in their own lives and in their generational histories. And so it was a 10-week process of writing. It was a pretty structured process that I laid out for us. And as things unfolded, as it was fate, COVID began, the pandemic began just shortly after we began writing. The day that we finished writing was the day that George Floyd was murdered by Derek Chauvin and 3 other police officers in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Next week, while we're gathered for this conference, the murder trial will still be happening. It'll be the 3rd week of the trial in process while we're gathered. That seems like a significant thing to acknowledge. It's partly why I'm making this video, is to acknowledge that the timing of this international conference that has everything to do with systemic fields of influence is happening while this trial is happening, that murder, just a refresher, was the catalyst for the Black Lives Matter global protests that took place last summer. I will say that for many months, the idea has been with me. It's a perspective that, in addition to that movement of visibility, reclaiming, reminder that Black Lives Matter, it's also been with me the consideration that that movement is perhaps also, as we know in a workshop, when a person gives something back to somebody else that's not theirs to carry, that perhaps this global movement is also that it was and it is a movement of giving back. To whom? I'll just let that be something that we all engage with, should we choose to do so. For me as an American, it's a big part of my life, working with this field of intersection of individual and family and historic trauma, particularly regarding whiteness. It just seems to be what's developed for me for whatever reason. So I'm just acknowledging what is, and feel grateful to do so. For those who don't, choose to not to come to the session that I'm offering, I thought to include here one page. I'll just show you the one-page overview of the summaries of the histories that have been written about my perspective on truth, the constellation field, acknowledging what is, etc. Systemic perspectives is, I value the intersection of the constellation work itself with the rest of life and the knowing field that we're in all the time. So this project, challenging though it's been a really huge honor and gift to be able to, in addition to our experience of creating the book, all profits, all proceeds, by the way, get donated to organizations that are committed to deauthorizing whiteness. If you want to know anything more about those details, you can talk to me later about that, or email me. But I felt it just developed. It was a good idea to develop an online conversation series with the essayists. So this is all on a website that you'll be able to check out if you choose to do so. But it's been a good movement, again, particularly as an American, offering that it's doable, that it's possible to engage with whiteness. So it's the task for white people to engage with whiteness. Just a reminder. So the writers, by the way, are from the US and Canada and the UK. Okay, I'm just going to show you now the overview. I'm going to show off my technical skills. Very exciting. Let's cross our fingers that it worked, and I think it did. Very exciting. Okay, so this is, I'll just go scrolly, but it's the magic of technology that you could pause on your video to slow down to see what these amazing women have written about. And the last image that I'll leave you with, again, the trial that will continue while we are gathered. And for those who don't know, in the US, our police system in the US is highly influenced by what was called the slave patrol, that of course emerged out of slavery, which were all affected by, of course, these movements of unfolding truth and reconciliation from these histories. So these photos are a reminder of the event, again, that catalyzed this global visibility. I took these photos. They're not off of the internet. This event happened a few miles from my family's house. I'm from Minnesota. And last August, I was back visiting family. I'm there frequently. And my dad actually had COVID last year. Bless him, he's 91 and he's doing pretty darn well. But he had a 3-week hospital stay, and while I was there, I visited the memorial site where this event happened. As you engage with these photos that I'm sure you've seen before, I do invite you to notice whatever it is that you want to notice, that you feel permission to do so, about the effect that it has in your own being, your own body, your own soul, your own psyche. Whatever you notice has a place. And so do all of we and everybody else. Thank you to the ISCA board, oh my gosh, for all the work you've done to bring us together. And I look forward to being with all of you next week. Safe travel to your computer for the conference. All blessings.